The new world's biggest cruise ship, Star of the Seas, has arrived, and this is the one with a certain DeLorean on board. In other words,
we're sending you back to the future!
In musical form, that is, on Royal Caribbean's latest and greatest. You're watching Jason and Heidi's popular cruising and our deck-by-deck tour and review of the brand new ship. So let's start on the very top, deck 20, and work our way down, shall we? Which brings us to Star's first Thrill Island neighborhood and its included Category 6 water park complete with 6 separate slides. My husband made a point of going on each and every one to experience and film them on his exclusive pre-inaugural sailing.
Yeah, I sure did. Beginning with a pair of racing storm chasers that are swift head-first mat slides. And of the two, I found the one on the right to be just a bit quicker. But surely they are both very exciting. But easily the most thrilling is the free-fall frightening bolt, where a trapdoor drops out from under you into an even faster descent. Taking even less time is clicking to subscribe to our channel. If you haven't already done so, we please invite you to in order to follow all our latest content. In fact, we have another video for you at this link, should you want to watch full-length POVs of the half-dozen attractions in a solid row, including that yellow pressure drop one, which is another nearly vertical thrilling fall, and an additional 2 raft slides that multiple people can ride together, the green boomeranging Storm Surge, and the pink tamer but still super fun Hurricane Hunter.
Jumping past the levels that are mostly accessible only to suite guests for the Grove Sun decks, next brings us to Deck 17 and its eponymous Cloud 17 neighborhood. An included just for adults pool deck featuring the first of 4 extra cost lime and coconut bars for convenient poolside and whirlpool side beverage service. The ship architecturally alternates its multiple pools across staggered decks, some with more shade than others, and this one happens to be a little more exposed. Also keep in mind that there is a designated smoking section right back here, which thankfully is at least positioned downwind from the rest and relaxation area. And rounding out Deck 17 is Star's complimentary use sports court should you want to play pickleball or basketball in the heat and humidity of the Caribbean. Dropping down to Deck 16 brings you to the complimentary Adrenaline Peak rock climbing wall. Or even more exciting for an extra cost is the Crown's Edge ropes course with its zipline element that dangles riders out over the side of the ship.
Admittedly, that was one experience I was less inclined to try for myself, but you can at least preview what it's like in this footage I captured. More my speed as a fan of mysterious abandoned places is the Free Lost Dunes mini golf course, themed to such legendary wrecks around the world. Or also complimentary is a return of Royal Caribbean's signature FlowRider surf simulator, which one of these days I would like to try, even though I'm certain I would wipe out in no time at all.
But once you did wipe out, the Icon class at least would console you with its unique food offerings in this section of the ship, including free smash burgers no less.
Yeah, it was a fairly decent juicy burger for being complimentary, I must say. And to wash it all down with, extra cost drinks can additionally be purchased from the attached Basecamp Bar. But in my case, I decided to head to Deserted next door to sample one of Star's premium milkshakes. Taking advantage of all the different flavors and toppings, I customized an Oreo Oasis one with strawberry ice cream instead of basic vanilla. The result was good, but not the greatest I've ever had, but I'm sure other kids at heart will appreciate the offering either way.
And the second of the ship's 4 lime and coconut bars is also on this deck farther forward, where a fun bonus dry slide is on hand to further traverse the levels. There really is an impressive collection of countless hot tubs and pools to take a dip in on Star of the Seas, and Chill Island is another neighborhood where guests can do so while listening to live music from the poolside bandstand. Other than shaded cabanas available to rent, all other loungers along this path are freely available first come, first served. A particularly neat feature here is the Swim and Tonic extra cost bar that offers a swim-up experience on a ship. Of course, even if you don't pay for a drink, the pool and its waiting waters are free to take advantage of. There's even another whirlpool option in the vicinity that happens to overlook the beautiful Central Park below. One ordinarily suite-only option Jason was able to check out was the Coastal Kitchen and Suite Lounge, which is an included dedicated dining room for guests therein. Compared to typical main dining room offerings, which are still available elsewhere for all other passengers, the dinner courses he had were elevated appetizers from crunchy arancini to a refreshing main lobster salad, followed by the turf to the surf of a perfectly prepared grilled filet mignon. But easily the coolest part of this venue is how it overlooks the AquaTheater from its towering glass windows. So should you be finishing your meal come showtime on deck 15 below, you can still catch the action. Versus exterior AquaTheaters passed on the preceding Oasis class, this one is newly configured at the center of the all-weather AquaDome neighborhood. While the ship's shows were still in final rehearsals ahead of the official maiden voyage, my husband did get a preview of Torque. He was very impressed by the dramatic displays of synchronized swimming, aerial acrobatics, and other aquatic dancing to convey kinetic motorsports. Gravity-defying high diving also joined the mix, as did a giant showerhead-like waterfall element from the geodesic rafters. It all contributed to one of Royal Caribbean's best such AquaTheater shows, and it wasn't even 100% finalized yet. He was especially taken by the intersection of two wire aerialists interacting with a duo of slackline performers, and, if you can believe it, even greater altitude high diving. You can always count me in for any show with stunning Cirque-style aerial performances. And as you'll soon see, this is just one of many instances of world-class entertainment on board Star. Among the specialty dining options on the ship, Celebration Table is on hand for traveling groups to host anything from a birthday to an anniversary dinner party. And it's contiguous with hooked seafood for others to reserve one of many extra-cost culinary choices. While not one of my personal favorites to spend additional money on, it is a fine option for those who are fish lovers. I do believe I would be more inclined to head to the opposite side of the ship, where the AquaDome Market serves as a complimentary food hall with varying flavor stations. Ranging from Cuban sandwiches and Spanish empanadas and arepas to build your own Mediterranean bowls.
This is one venue I made a point to return to multiple times, to try nearly everything, tasty Mediterranean included. Surprisingly, it was the barbecue offerings I found to be the least flavorful, given their lackluster mac and cheese base. That is, lack of cream and requisite cheese. Compared to, say, exceptional Thai ones with the perfect amount of spice, I might add. This is the one I would come back for the most, I think, to also get more of the crispy spring rolls on the side. Well, that is in addition to creme de la crêpe for a classic lemon-zested and sugar-dusted dessert that was just sublime. Just outside the market, but still inside as it were, is the first part of the AquaDome's enclosed observation lounge space that encircles the AquaTheater at the center with the Rye Bean bar that specializes in both coffees and cocktails. I simply can't get enough of such scenic spaces on ships, and this one's Overlook Pods are especially great for a private retreat perched above. Or even if those are occupied, the Overlook overall has to be the biggest and best observation lounge I've ever seen on a cruise. From its digital aquarium-esque animated screens, to cozy daybeds, and of course a sheer expanse of geodesic windows, all air-conditioned and fully climate-controlled. Not to mention conveniently serviced by yet another paid bar where I enjoyed a BBC, Bailey's Banana Colada, one evening.
Deck 15 is also where you'll find even more in the way of pools, like the Cove one below the aforementioned bandstand, which is ideally pushed all the way to the edge for its own uninterrupted vistas. Or as a larger alternative across the way, the Royal Bay Pool is a more traditional cruise ship variety, and flanking it is even more shade to escape the sun. I also greatly appreciate the combination of regular loungers plus padded equivalents here. And no such pool would be complete without even more side whirlpools, and naturally the third and fourth lime and coconut bars to buy frozen cocktails to beat the heat. There's even another expanded hot tub tucked in the back here should you wish to then warm up again, at least while still under the shade. Otherwise, capping off the list of attractions on this level is an array of table tennis surfaces for ping pong ball enthusiasts, which is no doubt an activity that would be best served afterwards by a complimentary soft serve ice cream cone from the very friendly Sprinkles.
Jumping back in here to discuss the included Loco Fresh and its extra cost Cantina Fresca, As a native Southern Californian, I'm very particular about my Mexican food, and while the complimentary eatery has improved over the years, I still have to give the flavor advantage to the ship's competition in this culinary arena. Because unless the tacos, burritos, and more here are moderately topped with modifications, the base proteins tend to be under-seasoned in my opinion, especially when contrasted with the ship's much better Thai ones we previously reviewed.
Always a staple on Royal Caribbean is still an expansive self-service buffet at the included Windjammer Marketplace. And there really is a whole lot of seating here to support diners grabbing meals from its multiple stations. Jason thoroughly enjoyed one of his all-time favorite breakfast items of corned beef hash, in addition to a pre-made omelet and smoked salmon avocado toast. Heading then to the back of Deck 15 is where you'll find the most impressive of the ship's adults-only areas in the form of the Hideaway neighborhood. Suspended over the ship's stern is yet another set of included hot tubs, infinity-style pool, and surrounding waiting area. And it too is serviced by its own extra-cost Hideaway Bar, all with incredible views overlooking the ship's dramatic wake. If rest and relaxation out of the sun is more your style, Deck 14 is where the ship's extra-cost Vitality Spa and included cafe, that is for food as drinks cost extra, are positioned, where friendly staff are waiting to serve you with a smile. This places the spa facilities now higher than they were on the Oasis class, albeit still without any windows to the outside, which actually might be nice for looking out from the To Dry For salon and barber or available thermal suite. But when you're face down on a massage table, you can certainly get by without any superfluous views. Speaking of the thermal suite, it still unfortunately does not encompass any sort of hydrotherapy pool or whirlpools, with all of those reserved for above, but it does still offer a series of steam rooms, heated tile loungers, experience showers, and sauna.
I do sure love an experience shower with a huge rain head, even if it isn't quite as massive as the one showcased in the AquaTheater. Now that would make for an experience shower.
Well, honey, in either case, the double-decker spa further extends downstairs to where a traditional relaxation room acts as a waiting area of solitude before massages and other serene body treatments. And there sure is a large variety of treatment rooms to go around, from those for individuals or couples to specialty ones. The only question that remains is which exactly would you choose?
Heading even farther down to Deck 9 is where my spacious infinite ocean view balcony stateroom was located. Our teddy bear friends already highly approved of this type of cabin when it was first introduced on corporate cousin Celebrity Cruises Edge-class ships, and here the unique veranda is carried over. Essentially, what would normally be al fresco balcony space is brought inside for even greater living area, while still mechanically opening to the outside with the press of a button. So if this ship has you thinking,
I'm your density. I mean, your destiny.
That is about booking a future cruise for yourself on Star of the Seas, we recommend doing so through our sponsor, Fairy Godmother Travel, who will magically take care of all your trip planning absolutely for free. To get your complimentary quote, just click the link right here. And then head back into the rest of the cabin to scope out its tropical interior design elements, like at the wall across from the bed, with its very own USB charging port among bonus shelves. The leafy motif continues at the vanity desk chair and lamp, as does even more electrical outlets and USB charging ports. And as we always applaud, yet another outlet is at one of the nightstands, while both have another USB port each. Below the vanity desk is even more in the way of a mini fridge, storage drawers and posable table. And the closet adds to the amount of shelving and hanging space, while a corner cabinet adds even more shelves as well as a safe. And that's not yet mentioning all of the extra hanging hooks that are placed in the bedroom and bathroom, which itself is a bit of a departure from Royal Caribbean's usual rounded shower layouts. The new configuration initially looks smaller than it actually is, given the shower has an articulated door that swiftly gets out of the way, and is altogether a wedge shape, that widens out nearest the head and valves. And the opposite end further features a handy bench, where even more hooks are perched above, for drying swimwear and the like. And there is no shortage of additional shelves in the bathroom as well. Plus even another large drawer, shelving, and one more hook.
Now it's time to descend again, while perhaps catching a pop-up performance from the ship's playful roaming pianist. Once to Deck 8, the line's signature Central Park has returned to the core of the ship. Besides the now omitted Rising Tide Bar, which we definitely missed from before, the space is quite familiar, extending to entertainment, dining, and retail. But Jason especially enjoyed the new Lou's Jazz and Blues Club and its toe-tapping tunes that spill out into the courtyard. He would have stayed far longer had it not been for the mugginess of the ambient alfresco air, which in the Caribbean can even be oppressive in the evening. But on a cooler night, what could be lovelier than a stroll to do some high-end shopping before grabbing a glass of champagne from the appropriately titled Bubbles Bar? I certainly hear a chorus of Veuve Clicquot bottles calling to me, don't you? Or for a complimentary option, Park Cafe is an alternative sort of secondary buffet where guests can get additional salads and sandwiches. And the Trellis Bar is yet another watering hole for purchasing more drinks along the way. At the far end of the park, both Chop's Grille and Izumi Hibachi and Sushi are two returning specialty restaurants, each with their own brand of open display kitchens. As you would expect, Izumi's is a combination of multiple hibachi tables as well as an elegant sushi bar. And the classic dinner show remains in full force here, including the fun puppeteering of egg as an animal prior to launching morsels into patrons' mouths. Food-wise, you can never go wrong with edamame and a green mix salad to start, and the vegetable fried rice fresh from the grill is always exceptional. My husband selected sea scallops and lobster as his proteins of choice to complete the delicious culinary ensemble. Another venue that wasn't quite ready for prime time on his preview sailing was the Lincoln Park Supper Club, but judging from the look of the space, patrons will have quite an Art Deco romp to enjoy in the completed dinner theater. Even without that one in the spotlight yet, there was plenty more for him to tour and review, like the reimagining of the former boardwalk area into Deck 7's Surfside. This family-friendly district still has the boardwalk's carried-over complimentary carousel while reconfiguring the AquaTheater, which we already showed displaced to the top of the ship, into the newly located Splashaway Bay and Baby Bay included kiddie water parks. The resulting interactive splash pads come with their own age-appropriate water slides as well as Central Water's Edge pool, all under the careful supervision of multiple lifeguards. And it just so happens the triple-decker Ultimate Family Townhouse private accommodations have immediate access to every bit of this playful acreage. And no surprise here, the Lemon Post Bar is at the ready for extra cost beverages without alcohol for children or with alcohol for their adult guardians. One oddity, however, is the extra cost Pier 7 across the way, which is a disappointing generic replacement for what should be the return of Johnny Rocket's Onboard. But alas, the retro offering has not been reprised when a diner would have been thematic perfection for this ship. Because, well, you know, as reference to...
Give me a milk. Chocolate.
But still, along for the ride at least, is an additional complimentary playscape for little ones, as was still being finished on the preview cruise. As well as, of course, said Carousel with its own free rides available for all ages. Included eateries are also on the list of features at this neighborhood, with Surfside Bites and Another Sprinkles dishing up more soft serve ice cream. And what could be considered the ship's tertiary buffet is also the Surfside Eatery itself, with even more in the way of self-service takeaways. Ranging from traditional included breakfast items to colorful donuts in the morning. Or if you'd rather pay for some premium ice creams and candies, Sugar Beach has you covered across the way when it's time to open. And yet another way to spend some money at Surfside is naturally at the video arcade, which has a wide variety of everything from old school and new school air hockey to skilled skee ball, basketball, and other interactive consoles. Believe it or not, there is still much more in the way of complimentary activities for young travelers found on Deck 6 at both the Adventure Ocean Children's Facility and Attached Teens Club. But my husband was not able to film them as they were already open by the time journalists boarded the ship later than usual.
Meanwhile, another strange deck layout discovery I made was how passengers must walk through a shoehorned art gallery and shop, which feel like afterthoughts accordingly, as well as through Playmakers to get to the newly located Absolute Zero ice rink at the stern. But we'll get to that venue a bit later on. Suffice it to say, there is more paid food and fun to be had here. We're at Bolero's, included live music is on hand to dance the night away, while its bar mixes up extra cost cocktails. A common complaint of the preceding Oasis class was its inward focused promenade without views to the outside. Well, the Pearl Cafe is just one of many venues aimed at rectifying that, and its daily complimentary snacks can be marvelously enjoyed with expansive vistas to the sea or port of call, like parfaits and grab-and-go sandwiches, pastries, and even hearty breakfast items, where I also witnessed the line's president and CEO Michael Bailey playing with the ship's resident golden retriever, while talented muralists finished the visual art applied to their latest canvas, all part of a fascinating shakedown cruise experience. Extending down the way is also the graffiti-strewn attic, where hilarious stand-up comedy sets are performed. And I have to hand it to all three comics that had me rolling on the floor.
On the other side of the ship is even more of Royal Caribbean staple offerings, beginning with the Schooner Bar, which costs extra for drinks but is entirely free should you just wish to stop by and listen to even more live music. It's one of our favorite shipboard places to enjoy trivia sessions as well. And similarly repeated on Star is Giovanni's Italian Kitchen and Wine Bar for even more specialty dining and drinks. I personally enjoy this one over Hooked Seafood, so I suggest that fans of the cuisine should add this one to their cruise agenda. And afterwards, a good time can be had at Dueling Pianos for even more lively musical banter. Honey, I seem to recall you enjoying a hard cider or two before proceeding to sing along at these kinds of venues, right?
Yeah, that's right, in Vegas, as well as a cruise ship it would seem, so we'll have to go together next time for sure. Nestled near the bow of this level is another pair of small venues, the included Crown Lounge for the most loyal repeaters, and a paid escape room, both of which were unavailable for photos however. What I was able to explore some though was the fitness center, which detached from the spa remains even more tucked away in the bow, and this corridor leads to a set of stairs that descends down a level to the ship-long wraparound running track, as well as bulk of the available exercise equipment. And there is quite a lot of it to be utilized down here, from treadmills and ellipticals to free weights and more. Since we're already down on Deck 5, we might as well check out the rest this level has to offer, including an even greater look at the Royal Promenade straight down the center and what has to be the emptiest it will ever be seen, before welcoming its regular complement of thousands of passengers, and returning again to the previously mentioned Absolute Zero, which is also squarely on Deck 5. We have a larger in-the-round ice rink that allows skaters to achieve greater speeds around its circumference.
But without getting too much into math, aka the bane of my existence, let's just enjoy some of the sequences from the Soul show, which interestingly goes from country scenes to mid-century modern ones before ramping up to some of the most ambitious maneuvers at sea. I mean, that would have to be hard to balance on land, let alone a moving cruise ship. And I'm sure this is a great way to get blood back to the brain. Maybe that's what I need to do math.
This bit of ramp jumping on ice skates was seriously impressive. Kudos to Royal Caribbean for raising the bar here yet again. The juxtaposition of extreme sports with figure skating definitely made for a fascinating performance. So this is yet another not to be missed. Never to be forgotten is how you can get the ball rolling on your next cruise at this inviting office right on board. Of course, that does come with an extra cost though. That is unlike the included guest services at the reception desk across the way, where the friendly crew is always available to handle any needs or requests you may have. And also for an added cost is the Shore Excursions desk right next door, which appropriately has views to the destination itself. And we can't consider this review complete without first addressing what is equal parts structural focal point and art installation called the Pearl. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I personally think it's rather cool, especially with all of its independently moving panels on its inner surface.
It is certainly very sci-fi, which is indeed in your wheelhouse. But I think I'd rather just go shopping, especially since it's on this level that the bulk of the retail shops are positioned, including the one dedicated most to logo items. And elsewhere, there are the likes of Effie for jewelry, as well as beauty supplies, sundries, clothing, and more. When it's time for a breather to buy another beverage, Royal Caribbean always has an English-style pub along this stretch, and Thorn Thistle is the classic iteration on Star, complete with bonus live music from its corner bandstand. Or again, taking advantage of the ship's improved views to the outside is the 1400 lobby bar with a dramatic vaulted ceiling at the windows and cozy outdoor furnishings to get even closer to the destination and sea breezes. And not to worry if you're in need of a pick-me-up, because a full-fledged extra-cost Starbucks is also along for the ride once more. However, where things start to go downhill, some is at the perpetually mediocre Sorrento's. As much as we would like to enjoy the line's included pizzeria, it's sadly just never very good. The cheese is super rubbery and the toppings are not the best ingredients. So unless you're here hungry with no other options, this is one eatery we recommend skipping entirely. Last but not least on this level, facing Sorrento's from the other side of the ship, is Spotlight Karaoke, which is surprisingly still popular enough for its own dedicated venue.
As we continue down to Deck 4, I'm pleased to showcase the multi-level Royal Theater and its remounted Back to the Future the Musical. We were treated to a preview of the superb cast and amazing DeLorean special effects, which had me exclaiming,
Basecamp!
I was blown away by how cool the iconic picture car rendered on stage. But the show is a grander musical performance too.
All right, guys, listen to some blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
This is one production that I cannot wait to come back on board to see the full runtime of, because I am a huge fan of the film, and the company did a marvelous job of bringing it to life in such a fresh way. In particular, the actors playing Marty McFly, Emmett Doc Brown, Biff Tannen, and even George McFly, in a spot-on impression of Crispin Glover, are aces in my book.
But for aces in your hand, you'll have to head over to Casino Royale, a sprawling expanse of table games and the latest digital slot machines serviced by their own bar and situated right next to the double-decker music hall for even more included live numbers. It just so happens that a morning trivia session was hosted during my husband's sailing, so you can expect a variety of other activities here as well. That does now bring us to the final publicly accessible Deck 3, which is the base level for the triple-decker main dining room for included meals in the ship's beautifully designed traditional restaurant. It remains a good standard option for full-service breakfasts, lunches, and dinners throughout the day. And for the sake of covering everything, it's now the moment you've all been waiting for. The ship's conference room, folks, in all its subdivided glory.
Which now leaves us, save for our final pros and cons. What we disliked as pains in the aft are the lack of Johnny Rockets, and the rising tide bar, a missing hydrotherapy pool, and windows at the spa's thermal suite, and the mixed quality of food at included eateries. But what we most liked, and can take a bow, are the fact that the Icon series vessel is an otherwise enhanced Oasis-class ship with great entertainment including Back to the Future the Musical, and an outstanding observation lounge at the Skydome. Thanks so much for watching. If you would, as it really does help support us, please like this video with a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And feel free to watch some of our other catalog titles while you're here.